For the smite and sneak attack damage to be optimized, let Psylocke use it during a critical hit, as critical hit will double the dice rolled. Hello guys, Genuine here of Genuine Gaming, and here is my Psylocke build for Baldur's Gate 3. This is a build request from Mr. Sazan and Mr. Sazan PR. This is also not an overpowered build, but a thematic one. Even though this is only a thematic build, you can play this build on Tactician difficulty. If you find this video helpful, do not forget to like, and for more Baldur's Gate 3 videos, subscribe to the channel. Overview. Bestie Broadrock, aka Psylocke, is a mutant telepath who is a member of the X-Men. She manifests a vast and ever-changing set of telepathic and telekinetic abilities. I am not so familiar with Psylocke's story in the comics, but I know there are a lot of versions of her. What I'm trying to build is the version wherein Psylocke is a telekinetic and telepathic ninja. She is known to use a psionic knife. It is the focused totality of her psychic powers by intensely channeling and focusing her psionic powers on her hands. The psionic knife is a razor-sharp edge of pure metal energy that she plunges into the minds of her targets directly. We can replicate this ability by using the Shadow Blade ring. However, I find the Shadow Blade as a worthless ability. It has a good amount of damage, however, there are several downsides. 1. It uses a ring slot. 2. It is a concentration spell. And lastly, it does not have any enhancement. I tried to use the Shadow Blade in the middle of Act 2 until late Act 3. It is underwhelming. But as I did my research, I found out that there were times that Psylocke would use a weapon and charge that said weapon with psionic energy. I think the Smite ability is a good replication for this ability. That's why I built Psylocke with 5 levels of Paladin with the Oath of Vengeance subclass because of the Misty Step spell at level 5. This replicates Psylocke's teleportation ability. As for her being a ninja, I gave her 7 levels of Rogue with Arcane TRICKSTER subclass. This is to add more spell slots for her Smite ability. Gear and equipment. I built Psylocke based on dexterity as it resembles very well her being a ninja. Light and medium armor is a good equipment for her. But if you want more aesthetics, you can equip her with mutilated carapace and dye it with an indigo color. This robe does not add much to the build unless you are always disguised during combat, where Psylocke could gain +1 to attack and damage rolls. Another armor she could use for aesthetic purposes is the Githyanki armor and dye it with indigo color. Since in combat, she is using most of the time her smite and sneak attack abilities, the best way to optimize the damage of these abilities is to fish for crits. So if Psylocke is going to fish a lot of crits, she has to gear up equipment that reduces critical hit rolls like Sarivok's horned helmet, Deadshot bow, Bloodthirst, and the knife of the Undermountain King. The problem with this equipment is that most of these gears are found in Act 3, except for the knife of Undermountain King, which can be bought in Krishgielik in Act 1. So this build can't be in her full potential until Act 3. Conserving her smite ability is the key in playing Psylocke, as her smite ability is pretty limited. If Psylocke is not able to conserve her smite abilities, she has to need a lot of long rests. And if a character needs a lot of long rests, she is going to need a lot of camp supplies. So you just have to buy camp supplies at every chance you get. Good thing, she can use her sneak attack ability in her every turn to mitigate her need to smite enemies left and right. Another important equipment that I am using is the Gloves of Automaton, which can be bought by Barcos Root in the Last Light Inn in Act 2. When you activate Circuitry Interface, you gain an advantage on your weapon attack rolls and have resistance to lightning for 10 turns. You cannot be healed by any spells when this is used because you will be considered a construct. This is very important for the build as an advantage in attack rolls will give Psylocke more chance to crit. Similar to this effect is the Risky Ring. The downside of this ring is that the wearer receives a disadvantage on all saving throws. So it all depends on you on what you want to use for this build. As for my case, I chose Gloves of Automaton. Build. In the character creation, we are going to pick human for Psylocke's race. For her first level, Psylocke can either go for the Rogue class or the Paladin class. If Psylocke opts for the rogue class at level 1, she gains a lot more skills and immediately gets the expertise ability. However, she is one level late in getting the extra attack for the paladin class. If she goes for the paladin class at level 1, she gains fewer skills but gets an extra attack at level 5. It depends on what you want for Psylocke. As for my case, I went for the paladin class. As a paladin, she gains 3 charges of Lay on Hands, which resets after a long rest, and 1 charge of Channel Oath, which resets after a short rest. She also gains a Divine Sense ability, wherein she uses a bonus action to gain an advantage on attack rolls against Celestials, Fiends, and Undead. It resets after a short rest. As a paladin with Oath of Vengeance, she gains Inquisitor's Might. She can imbue her weapon or her ally's weapon to deal an additional radiant damage equal to Psylocke's Charisma modifier, and the weapon can daze the enemy for 1 turn. For her abilities, make her Dexterity 17, Charisma 16, and Constitution 14. For her skills, choose whatever your party needs. I would suggest any skills based on either Dexterity or Charisma. At level 2, Psylocke gains Divine Smite. She may choose to expend a spell slot to inflict additional radiant damage. The damage increases depending on the level of spell slot used. For her fighting style, Psylocke chooses defense for a +1 armor class increase. She gains 2 level 1 spell slots. At level 3, Psylocke gains Divine Health. She won't be affected by any kind of disease. As an Oath of Vengeance paladin, she gains Bane and Hunter's Mark for her additional paladin spell. She also gains Abjure Enemy and Vow of Enmity for her Channel Oath abilities. Abjure Enemy frightens an enemy, while Vow of Enmity, Psylocke gains an advantage on attack rolls against the targeted enemy. She now has 3 level 1 spell slots. At level 4, Psylocke gains an additional Lay on Hands charge, making it a total of 4 charges. For her feat, choose Spell Sniper and choose Eldritch Blast for her cantrip. Eldritch Blast replicates Psylocke's Kinetic Blast in the comics. At level 5, Psylocke gets an additional attack. She also now has 4 level 1 spell slots and 2 level 2 spell slots. Character level 6, Psylocke is now going for the rogue class. You get to choose an additional skill. 2 skills Psylocke is proficient in for her expertise feat. She now has +1 d6 of sneak attack. At character level 11, Psylocke gains Cunning Action. She can now dash, disengage, and hide by using a bonus action. At character level 8, Psylocke chooses Arcane Trickster for her rogue subclass. For her cantrip, choose Friends and Light. For her level 1 spell, choose Sleep and Disguise Self. For her expanded spell, choose Shield. Be careful of choosing a spell in the Arcane Trickster, as the Arcane Trickster uses Intelligence for her spellcasting. Choose spells that don't use a modifier like Magic Missile and Shield. Sleep and Color Spray does not also use modifiers when casting these spells. Anyway, the main use for Psylocke's spell slot is for the activation of her Smite ability. Her sneak attack is now 2d6. At character level 9, Psylocke increases her dexterity for her feat. She is also going to choose another spell. At character level 10, Psylocke now has 4 level 1 spell slots and 3 level 2 spell slots as a level 5 Arcane Trickster. Her sneak attack is now 3d6 and she gains Uncanny Dodge. Uncanny Dodge lets the rogue take only half the usual damage. At character level 11, Psylocke gets to choose 2 skills that she is proficient in for her expertise. I suggest choosing Deception and Persuasion. At character level 12, Psylocke now gets 4d6 for her sneak attack. She also gains Evasion. Evasion lets Psylocke be able to negate all damage if she succeeds in a dexterity saving throw. She only takes half the damage if she fails. Gameplay. Psylocke is an effective striker and a utility person in your party, although she needs a lot of long rests to be effective, especially in the early part of the game. However, she would need less and less long rests as the game progresses, as her sneak attack is deadlier in the later part of the game. For the smite and sneak attack damage to be optimized, let Psylocke use it during a critical hit, as critical hit will double the dice rolled. Just an afterthought while making this video, I am not so sure if getting an extra level 2 spell slot is worth it for the Arcane Trickster subclass, or if another subclass would be better to take, like the Assassin, as this resonates more with Psylocke as a character in X-Men. But the problem I have with surprise attack is that enemies are not easily surprised if you're playing in a party in BG3. And the critical hits only happens in the surprise round. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. So that's my Psylocke build guide, and see you in the next video. Ciao!